So Brenda, tell us a little bit about what you do and what you're up to. And
Okay.
I know a little bit of your history, but not all.
Sure. Well, technically, I'm supposed to be retired, but I keep getting pulled into working for some reason. I spent 20 years in the corporate world, mostly in executive leadership positions, mostly in the financial services industry. I worked for companies like MasterCard, Citicorp, NCR. Also worked for some smaller software development companies.
What's going on, Kyle? Hey, thank you for having me on today. I appreciate it.
Hey guys, glad to be here.
Mike, I appreciate you sharing your story.
However, I could honestly say today, though, I wouldn't change it.
So Brenda, tell us a little bit about what you do and what you're up to. And
Okay.
I know a little bit of your history, but not all.
Sure. Well, technically, I'm supposed to be retired, but I keep getting pulled into working for some reason. I spent 20 years in the corporate world, mostly in executive leadership positions, mostly in the financial services industry. I worked for companies like MasterCard, Citicorp, NCR. Also worked for some smaller software development companies. Got tired of working for the man after about 20 years and left. Went out on my own and actually fell into real estate, not by choice. It just kind of happened. So I started a real estate team in Atlanta, Georgia, and it became very successful very quickly. And I really loved it. So I did that for about 20 years, 18 years. I still do real estate today. When I say I'm not supposed to be working, I'm doing quite a bit of real estate up here in Sheboygan. But when I was in real estate, I also was a managing broker for many years in one of the top luxury markets in Atlanta. And then I got kind of burned out on real estate too after a while when the market crashed back in like 2008, 2009, and I opened a photography business in my home. And I did that for about 10 years, but I still I was going to let my real estate just die its own slow death, but it never died. And so, in fact, I don't do a whole lot of photography anymore. I used to do it out of my home. Like I said, I had a portrait photography business, did a lot of branding work, things of that nature. And then 2.5 years ago, my husband and I moved to Sheboygan, Wisconsin. We have some family here. It again wasn't really part of the plan, but we would visit here, fell in love with it. And then when we saw that we could get things for half the price of Atlanta, it just made sense. We were able to retire early by doing that. And I just got my license a year ago just to help family and friends. And it's just been a crazy market. So I'm still doing that. I also have an executive coaching business. I had that in Atlanta for about the last 5 years. And I just have a few clients. I kind of do it part-time, but with Zoom, I'm able to continue my client relationships. And I help people take their businesses to a new level. I tend to work with smaller organizations, maybe 50 people. And I also work with some larger real estate teams to help them take their businesses to the next level. So I don't really seek it out. It just kind of finds me. And so if I like working with people, I do that. So anyway, that's kind of a bit about me. I met Jamie in the real estate world. We live very close to each other, and I helped her with one of her flips. And we kind of hit it off, I think, with other crazy ideas. We have minds that think alike. So she told me about this group, and I watched a couple of your videos, and it looked like an awesome group.
Good. So how did you and Jamie meet? I mean, in terms of like the real estate, was it
well,
in a transaction or?
Yeah. I live close to the lake, and so does Jamie in her second home here. And I always have clients looking to live by the lake. If I had a nickel for everyone who wanted me to find them a house right by the lake for, $250,000, I'd be a very rich woman. So I'm always looking for stuff. Sure. And she had posted her flip. Well, I can't remember where you posted it, Jamie. Was it on Marketplace or?
Yeah, it was on Marketplace. Like before we hired, and so we were going to FSBO it and just kind of put it out there and see what we got. And Brenda brought a client to us. And it ended up not working out with that particular client. But then at that point, we were already, I think, about 2 weeks in. It was sitting on Marketplace, and I had talked to Joe, and I was like, we just don't have the time. We have other projects we're moving forward on. And Brenda just impressed me overall with so much of her skills. The best thing about Brenda in real estate is you don't feel like you need to be selling $1 million home. She's going to give the same attention to, the client that's selling a $75,000 home. And that's how I felt. I just felt like she puts 110% effort into whatever property it would be, and so we immediately listed with her, and it was very fast, and Brenda had a plan, and she took amazing pictures, and her marketing worked, and we had, I don't know how many showings.
Had like 20 showings in 3 days, I think. It was kind of nutty.
Wow.
Yeah, it was, but that's how we ended up meeting, and we got an accepted offer, and then we had to work through all the craziness on the accepted offer, and it worked out. So
it worked out really well. It was a great place. She did a great job with it. So
do you guys think that your perspective from not being like a longtime resident of Sheboygan County, the city of Sheboygan, has helped you in the real estate market here to have kind of a different perspective on pricing, style, looks, what works? Like, you're both shaking your head yes. So I want to hear about
I
that.
do. I mean, you probably got an opinion on this too, Jamie. I've been doing real estate for 18 years, and I was a top agent in my Atlanta market. It's a very different market here, very different. It's the same and different. What's different, and Jamie and I've even talked about this, what's different is the caliber of homes. Is that the way to put it? I mean, in Atlanta, I can't even tell you the last time I did a $250,000 home. I mean, that just didn't exist. If it did, it was a pretty major fixer upper.
Sure.
It tended to work, my core listings were more like the 500 to 800s, but I did a fair amount in the luxury real estate. And by luxury, I mean $1.2 million to $1.5 million. And so just that alone is very different. $1 million home here is not even close to $1 million home in Atlanta. The marketing and all of that is way different from my perspective. I'm a kind of a marketing snob, and it makes me a little crazy that things aren't always marketed as well as they could be here. I think there's a real opportunity, and I think someone who has seen what that looks like brings a different perspective to the table. That is not to say that there's no good marketing. I don't want to slam the real estate industry at all, but that was just kind of surprising to me. When I first moved here, you couldn't get away with some of that in a larger market. But what's kind of cool about it is there's also, you're not in your car all the time. I used to spend hours and hours in my car. Everything is driven around traffic in Atlanta. But the thing that I am seeing, and I'm not sure if some Sheboyganites pick up on it quite as quickly, is if you've lived here your whole life, I run into people who don't see its value the way I see its value. And I would say about 80% of the clients I am dealing with right now are coming from somewhere else. They're coming from Chicago, from Madison, from Minneapolis, from somewhere else. And so I relate to those people real quickly. And they look for different things, and they see the value in the real estate, and they're not afraid to pay a premium price for something that's walking distance from a lake that looks like an ocean. Okay. And I also see a trend I see, and I'm not sure if some people in Sheboygan pick up on it. I've talked about it in my own brokerage firm, is that I think values in Sheboygan have been kind of deflated a little bit. And what happens when you sell a property is, you got to get an appraisal on it. Well, if there's not a lot of inventory, your appraisal doesn't always come in at the value that the marketplace is willing to pay. And what's happening, in my opinion, in Sheboygan is a bit of a shift in that, because these outside people are coming in. They see a different value than the local person might see, and they say, oh my God, you mean I could pay $350 for a house by the lake? No problem. I'm going to do that. They're coming in with cash. 90% of the people I'm working with are paying cash on homes. So they're coming in with cash. And when you come in with the cash, you waive the appraisal. So all of a sudden you're starting to see those values that used to be deflated because you couldn't get the appraisal to come up because there wasn't enough inventory to justify it, even though the market was saying it's a higher price, it's a higher price, it's a higher price. Those cash appraisals, there's enough of them now that you're starting to see some movement. Now that's good and bad, right?
Sure.
The good is you own a home, it's increasing in value, particularly in areas by the lake. You can also have the opposite, which is I can't afford to buy something in Sheboygan anymore on my salary. So there's always two sides to that story. But I think I see it different just when I look at the values here. I see way more value than some local people do. Would you agree with that, Jamie? I mean, you're coming from the outside too, and you've been in the building industry.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. And I find it interesting, you kind of hit on this right at the beginning, Brenda, about people's perspective. If you're a Sheboyganite, I feel like everybody is very negative about Sheboygan if they grew up there. I mean, okay, I'm from a small town in Wisconsin. I never want to move back there. You know, I understand that feeling, but, you know, I don't feel like a lot of the Sheboygan residents realize how wonderful it is there. And I know that if you're on next door, they've been talking about the uptick in crime, you know, there's different things. But then we have the people like us who are coming from a bigger metropolis that has a lot of crime. And we're moving in and we're like, this is fantastic. Like, I'm not hearing, and there's not constant stories of
very safe.
murders and, you know, everything else going on. And I feel like the people in Sheboygan that, you know, have been there really don't see it. And then they feel very negative about the town. And I think with the more transplants and stuff we start getting in, it's going to probably change that perception of how much people love it here, you know. And yeah, I have noticed that. And then of course the value is that's why we started flipping in Sheboygan, was because in Dane County, the prices are astronomical, and to be able to get in to this sort of market down here, it's crazy. And you're competing against, you know, huge firms and huge, like, you know, downtown on the campus, you can't even get in because you're competing with Steve Brown, who like owns the entire campus. And so Sheboygan was very appealing to be able to come in and buy a house for $80,000 cash, because we're coming from the market too, where we can sell stuff down here and turn around and buy 3 properties up there for cash. And that's very appealing. And so, yeah, I think Sheboygan, it's kind of a weird mix of everything, but I mean, we love it. And I think it's going to be better getting more people in from other areas, even though Sheboyganites probably don't want that.
Well, I think there's a delicate balance of respecting the history and those who have lived here for a long time, and still being open to some transformation and some movement. And there, you know, anytime you have a smaller town like that, you're going to have that kind of that friction. But in the area where I live, very close to Jamie by the lake, there's a lot of transplants. So there's a lot of real positive people in the area where we live that really see the value of it. So
right. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting market. I've frankly been kind of kicking myself for being in this market for the majority of my life and not doing something about that. Right. And some of that comes with, well, why would I, you know, purchase real estate right on the lake if I can just like go there and then drive home where I am or walk, right? Like, so there's some of that, like it's right there, so I don't have to be there necessarily, but missing out on some of these real estate deals, it's crazy. I can tell you this, that like a big city, Sheboygan did have kind of this thing where, you know, we don't have true suburbs of Sheboygan, but we have these like, you know, mini suburbs, right? With newer model homes. And so when I grew up here in the 80s, people did live in the city proper and in the old Victorian homes and things of that nature. That's where I'd see my friends, right? And then the newer homes got built and people wanted new homes. So the people with money left. And they all went outside of the city, got into the town. the surrounding neighborhoods or villages and towns and things like that. And then it left kind of this gap in the city, and you saw these homes that weren't as well taken care of any longer. And then, as you said, you'd come in, you'd say like the caliber of the home, right? And I describe it this way. You can look at the house and say, there's no way this house is worth 300,000. And then you turn and the lake is right there and you say, of course this house is worth $300,000, right? Like, I feel like those are the properties here. So you have to be somebody, like you said, maybe you're coming in with all cash, or somebody who's willing to put some effort into restoring the home, getting it in good condition, right?
For sure.
And I've definitely seen an uptake of people coming in from other markets for sure. I think for a while, Sheboygan was protected from investors from outside. That's not the case anymore. If a house goes up on the lake, or close by it, you're gonna have competition from the outside right away. I like it. I think it brings good, different ideas and things into our community. And so I think it's been a good sign for sure.
Yeah. Awesome.
So I did put in the chat the link to our YouTube page. I'll do a share screen here really quick, just so you guys can see this. And Brenda, I'll come back. I'll show where you are, where people can find you. But here's our Hawley Kaufman Kautzer YouTube channel, which we've been adding these videos and things like that.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't realize you had a channel out there.
Yeah.
Okay. I was looking on your Facebook page.
Okay. So, and we really haven't, what I would say, pointed to these videos yet, meaning we haven't really been promoting them so much on social media. We will be. Courtney Gatlin, who typically is here, Coach Court, has stepped in and taken over on some of the video editing. So you can see a change in the style of the videos a little bit. So these ones are kind of fun, where you can see it has a little bit of a different look. This is the video that you're probably referring to from last week, where we had Gordon Moose on, C. Gordon Moose, and he talked about the Napoleon Hill principles. And so that's a good one. That's just the 19-minute version of it. The full hour, because of technical issues last week, I wasn't able to record that one on Facebook, so you can't find it there. I do have the full length of it, and I could probably get that to you. So, yeah, that was a really good one. We drilled down on issues there.
Awesome.
Let me go back to my screen here, though. So we've got that. I want to show you guys just what we've done, where we moved to. So we're directly across the street from the courthouse now. This is just the exterior. We've got some work to do on that. So I think we've got first floor windows to replace. And then next spring, we're going to come in and we're going to fix the exterior and reside it, side over this door. So we're in the upper and the lower. I'll show you guys what it looks like inside. This is just a clip of some videos. So there you can see where we are. All right, so that's where we are. So yeah, we're enjoying the inside. We got to get the outside fixed up a little bit. We got our old building is listed for sale, and hopefully we'll get some action on that soon. So that one's got an interesting view on the upstairs. You can see both the river and the lake, and so it's really nice when the sun's coming up. I do miss that view. I will say that. If you're ever having a hard time, it's always nice to look out at the lake. Like you said, that looks like an ocean. And it's a nice calming thing to have for sure. Okay, Brenda, I'm going to show where you're at here. You're with North Shore Homes, right?
I am with North Shore Homes, and my executive coaching business is called True You Coaching. It's trucoaching.com. But yeah, here in Sheboygan, I'm with North Shore Homes.
trucoaching.com.
It's TRU. If you put in trucoaching.com, you'll also pull me up that way. TRU coach. There you go. .com. And that's my coaching website. So I do both. Here in Sheboygan, oh, that's not good. True You, I'm sorry, TRUYOU, True You Coaching.
So what is that again? TRUYOU.
Coaching.com. I'm like, oh, did my website go down and I didn't know about it?
There it is.
There it is. So that's the coaching business website. So I do both. Again, I help businesses that want to take their business to the next level. Those are some of my clients that I've worked with. And then I do, often do podcasts and things like that when people need someone. I also make margaritas. I have custom margaritas. I do custom infused tequila, so I fit right in with Wisconsin. And I do some training classes and things of that nature too.
Okay.
But yeah, and then the other website is my real estate website. I can talk to you all day.
Because I'm going back to Michael Jordan, right? Guy, top of his game, walks away from the NBA and decides to go play baseball, right? And the Chicago Bulls didn't stop. The Michael Jordan brand didn't stop. Right? The Brenda brand didn't stop.
It didn't.
You had done all of that. It was still going. And the minute you said you wanted back in, everyone's like, great, welcome back. Right?
Right. I think her big thing too is she's authentic. She's so authentic. So she walks out of her house and she basically, like we talked last week about the law of attraction stuff, it basically just is like coming into her and you can't get away from it. It's just her thing, it's not going to die.
Yeah.
All right. Well, all right. It's good stuff, man. Hey, this was great. I'm glad it turned out. I'm glad I turned on the microphone today to do this. We'll be back next week. We'll get a program going and keep this Meaningful Ideas Trading Club a thing, because I think we're gaining some traction here and doing good things. So. Meaningful Trading Ideas Club.